Inner Voice, a heartfelt chat with Dr. Foojan.
Welcome to the Inner Voice, a heartfelt chat podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Foojan and Zeine, a psychotherapist, an author, and the creator of the awareness integration theory. I'm thrilled to have you join me today for what I promise you is a very insightful discussion. In this episode, I chat with Dr. Alanna. She is a best-selling author, spiritual leader, and expert on mythology, spirituality, and psychology. Her global network has more than 30,000 members, and she's the host of the Spiritual Leadership Podcast, originally launched in 2005. She earned a doctorate in mythological studies with an emphasis in depth psychology from the Pacifica Graduate Institute, and she is a former board member of the Carl Jung Foundation. To get more information about her, go to thesatisfiedwoman.com. Really an interesting conversation about femininity and masculinity, about what a satisfied woman, of the modern woman, what satisfies her, what it is that could be different from the delusion that possibly we have about satisfaction should be in the realm of what men defined as success and satisfaction. And it's one of the most, let's say, respectful conversations about men, women, femininity, and masculinity, defining all of it, and to kind of connect and see the part of you that you can connect to, and be the best that you can be from acknowledging and connecting to your feminine power. Now, be sure to subscribe to my podcast, my YouTube channel, and connect with me through my website, foojanzeine.com, or any of my social media. Also, go check out Foojan app on Apple or Google. And not only you go through the 31 areas of your life, such as career, finances, intimate relationship, and much more. And you'll go through the whole 6 phases of becoming aware of who you are, kind of clearing the past, envisioning your tomorrow, getting skills, and even connecting with coaches and therapists. But also you have Mira in it, which is an AI companion. You can ask Mira any question 24 hours, and she will respond to you from the awareness integration theory. And I'm positive that it's useful and enjoyable to have this type of dialogue, and just getting to know you and getting to have the answers that work for you. Now, share your thoughts with me. I love to hear from you. Now, without further ado, here's Dr. Alanna.
Listen up if you want to promote your personal growth and self-awareness. I found the Foojan app last month and I have been absolutely loving it. I personally have never learned guided meditation, but thanks to this app, I now have learned incredible tools for my own stress relief and emotional self-awareness. Not to mention, there are self-evaluation tools and professional coaching available to utilize however your journey to self-discovery takes you. Join Foojan today and redefine your life one step at a time.
Intentional Parenting, a practical guide to awareness integration theory, written by Dr. Jafari, Dr. Foojan Zeine, and Dr. Manoukian, 3 experts in human development, is your step-by-step guide to raising a healthy child prepared for a culturally integrated world. You're supported in parenting infants to adolescents using the latest evidence-based scientific research on parenting. Order your copy on Amazon now. It is so beautiful to have you, Dr. Alanna Kaivalia, with us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really grateful to be here.
You know, we have heard a lot about these 2 words, femininity and masculinity. And I think people have some common understanding of what the femininity and masculinity is. But I still think there's a lot that is a vague. And sometimes we kind of just stereotype it versus having an understanding of what it is. So you have written this beautiful book, The Way of the Satisfied Woman, where you share about reclaiming the feminine power. Now, sometimes that conversation appears as alarming, not only to men, but also women. That's not how your book is. Your book is such a delicate concept and then yet so powerful. So let's start with just possibly defining this concept of femininity and masculinity from your approach.
Sure, you got it. So femininity and masculinity, as you said, there's a lot of ideas about what they are. And I think given our cultural framework, we often have a fairly distorted idea of what femininity and masculinity both are and can be. At their most fundamental, both femininity and masculinity are psychological energies. They live within us, and every human has both feminine and masculine energies within them, regardless of gender, sexual orientation, anything. If you exist in a human body, you have both of these polarities within you. And what you'll find throughout your life is that you'll lean more toward one or the other, or desire to lean more toward one or the other. We tend to have what I call a primary polarity within us. It doesn't always align with gender orientation. It's just an alignment with who we are as human beings. So I speak to specifically women who align themselves more on the feminine polarity and feel more drawn to bring their femininity forward. And some of the primary attributes or qualities of the feminine, the two biggest ones, are our emotional depth and our connection to our intuition. That really is at the heart of what makes the feminine powerful. Beyond that, other feminine qualities include the sense of pleasure. We love to feel pleasure in our bodies. That's where our joy comes from. Also, creativity is a provenance of the feminine. The ability that we have to make something from almost nothing. And that can be in many different ways. It doesn't have to be just artistic. It doesn't have to be procreation. Anytime we generate something from almost nothing, that is truly a feminine trait, of feminine power. Femininity also loves collaboration, communication, and connection. So those are the big feminine traits. They exist within all of us. And for those of us who identify more strongly with the feminine polarity, the work of our lifetime really is to lean into that, bring it forward, and allow it to make us feel more at ease with who we are. For those of us that identify with femininity more strongly, it's actually going to be a way to reduce stress, come back to our own center, connect with ourselves, feel a sense of well-being. We get caught into a trap of putting on too much masculinity in this modern day age, and that actually tends to exhaust us if it's not who we are or our primary polarity.
It's interesting because I have been getting a lot of tension on my right side. Like whatever happens to my body when I'm tired, my neck hurts on the right side, my back hurts on the right side, my shoulder hurts on the right side. And I was talking to my chiropractor and a couple of other doctors, and some of them who are more in tune with these kind of conversations, they kept telling me that you're more putting tension on your masculine side of your body, and your career and everything else, and somehow you're kind of left or not paying attention to the feminine part of you. And I used to do a lot of artistic, like design and flower and all of those. And it's true. It's my brain has gone more toward creating projects and landing success in the career. And part of as I was reading your book, part of what you're redefining is, how can we redefine success? Because success in the communities, in business world, in the society, is much more about having the steps that we create, whether it's financial or strategic steps that we want to achieve and we gain, and we call those success. Where you're saying, well, it can also be defined in a whole different way. So can you share a little bit about what we have as success, which would kind of attribute it to the masculine side, versus a success that would also have the femininity in it?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we need to just recognize is that We live, like whether we like it or not, we live in a patriarchal culture, and that I'm not blaming anybody. It just is what it is. And the patriarchy isn't even doing masculinity all that well either. This culture was designed to center and elevate masculine principles, but a lot of it over the many millennia that the patriarchy has been in control have distorted some of those masculine principles so that it doesn't even serve the highest of the masculine either. And one of the things that the patriarchy is so emphatic about is success at all costs. So there's nothing wrong with success, but the way that it's elevated in our world is that it is very linear, it's very direct, it's to achieve a specific goal. It's sometimes to the detriment of others. We often have to climb up a kind of social or corporate ladder, which means we're stepping on others to get to the top. And then once we've achieved that goal, one of two things happens. Either we are done and then we feel a sense of emptiness, or we simply move the goalpost further away to try and keep clawing our way towards success. Now, a healthy masculine is very directed. It's very goal-oriented. It's very interested in achievables, those key performance indicators, all of that. And it's a very linear form of getting to some kind of success or achievement in life. For the feminine, it doesn't actually light the feminine up. Yes, of course we want to achieve as much as we want in our life. I'm not saying that the feminine needs to abandon this notion of achievement or having everything one wants or making sure that you're surrounded by the things, the people, the places, the career, whatever it is that you love, of course, but there's a different attitude and a different way to pursue it. And so what I did was I took a look at success and how actually draining it is for the feminine and how disconnective it is for the feminine. It's not in the feminine nature to climb over others, to be success at all cost, to diminish others, to leave others behind. The feminine is more of a holistic approach. We want everyone to succeed. We want our success to be shared amongst us. In fact, statistics show that when you give female business owners an infusion of cash, they don't keep it for themselves. They reinvest it into their community. So whereas the traditional patriarchal notion of success is very hierarchical and very singular, the notion of satisfaction for the feminine is more horizontal than vertical. It's more inclusive. It's more communal. And it's not at all costs. It's a way to actually make sure that everyone around you is also successful and happy. So I was particularly blown away when I learned the definition of satisfaction. And I knew that this was the answer for us as modern day women who still want to have a beautiful life and all the things that we love. Satisfaction is defined as the pleasure derived from the fulfillment of your wishes and needs. Now, nobody does pleasure like the feminine. That's us. When we feel pleasure, when we're able to run that through our bodies, everyone benefits. That is actually how everyone around us also feels a sense of joy. Maybe you remember that old saying, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Well, in this case, every feminine woman is a mama, and her happiness is going to extend to those around her. So our pleasure derived from the fulfillment of our wishes and needs is ever growing. It's holistic. It's inclusive. There's no goal post. We can always evolve wishes and needs to meet whatever it is we desire on a given day or in a given month or in a given year. It's ever evolving. It's collaborative. And that feels good to the feminine. And the feminine does feel. We're deeply connected to our emotions. So that's why I've given the book the title, The Way of the Satisfied Woman, as opposed to the way of just the successful woman. Can we have success? Sure. But what's really going to give us a sense of knowing that we've accomplished what we want to and being everything that we are in this lifetime is instead satisfaction.
One of the things that I've seen that has got me by surprise is a lot of the movies and have turned into the women becoming action figures and, trying to do the male version of what is, and even on a physical. And and then on the opposite, also you have a lot of men who are also trying to experience their feminine side and come from that angle. So we could see that there is a part of people where they're trying to balance it, but there's also the extremes where one goes toward an extreme. And how I got it also from your book is when we are in the extremes, we're not satisfied. So it's like how to be connected to what the balance is within us.
Yes.
But also to give and then it's called reclaiming feminine power, which is you can be powerful with the part of you that is more connected to who you are.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm glad you touched on this. I actually I really liked the program. I watched a program recently where it was about, high-level CIA operators who were in war zones, and all of the main roles were filled by women. However, if you had your eyes closed and you didn't hear that the voice was a woman's voice, it wouldn't matter if a woman or a man had been in that role. They just put women in a man's role in a masculine way. And what we're under the delusion of in this culture is that the only way to succeed at life, the only way to be happy is that masculine patriarchal narrative. And that's actually not true. Yes, women can do everything. Of course, women can be high-level operators in any field. However, they're going to be most happy and satisfied when they do it in their own feminine way. And that's not weak. That's not meek. It's not subservient. It's not less valuable. It's not diminutive. It's still powerful. It's just going to be different. So yeah, a woman can be an accomplished military service person in her own feminine way. A woman can be a mechanic in her own feminine way. She is going to do it differently than her masculine counterparts. And the way that she does it differently is still going to get the job done. It's still going to be thorough, it's still going to be correct, but it's going to be with the tools and skills and attitudes that she has, as opposed to forcing herself into the kind of the masculine common idea or trope that it is. So I like actually to illustrate this, to use mythology to help. So we have in our Greek mythological history the goddess Artemis, she's a war goddess. She's like an accomplished war goddess, and she's the counterpart of someone like Ares, who's the war god. All right. And they're both going to, let's say, kick ass and take names. They're both going to achieve their goals. They're both going right to the front lines. They're both going to use all the tools at their disposal. However, the Aries energy, that masculine energy, is going to be very cutthroat. It's going to be very shock and awe. It's going to take all the troops and move them right in. You are absolutely going to know that Aries is coming. There's going to be no secret ops. There's going to be no covert anything. There's going to be not a lot of diplomacy. Artemis is a little more discreet. She's a little more careful. She's going to have a little more strategy. She's going to maybe come in this side door. She'll surprise you. She'll try diplomacy first. She'll use the might of her army, maybe to intimidate, but not to harm. She's going to try to reach a conclusion to this conflict that actually benefits both sides. And if she has to move towards something that is like war, harmful, fighting, she's going to do it in a different way. So there's a lot of ways to get the job done, not just one way. So what I want us to take a look at, especially if we're on the feminine polarity, is how might we do it differently and still impress and still achieve and still, get to the finish line that we desire.
One of my experiences with, I've been a therapist also for about 30 some years. So I work with women who are just coming to their adulthood. They are looking at success in their careers, or making a decision whether they want to be a home mama, or they want to be a career woman, or they want to be both. And then I also watched going toward growth and raising our children, and then at one point hitting our own second phase of life, which I've seen a lot with women where they've raised their children, they've done their career. And then there's which is very different than my experience of men. At one point, and usually it hits closer to the menopause, era, that it's a stop, look, and really actually come to their feminine power in that time again.
Yeah.
And really looking at who am I and what am I doing, and what are my needs? Because as if like, okay, I've been taking care of the society need, then I've been taking care of my family needs, then I've been taking care of my children and moving them to growth, and now who am I and what is my need?
Yeah.
And many times there's truly a shift at that point where I've met with women where they've come a lot more into, like you said, the satisfaction of my feminine power and who I am. And a lot more about wanting also to be cared for, also to get that security, also to be able to be safe, and not only to be the service and give, but also to receive. And that also creates that type of a satisfaction. What are your experiences?
It's exactly this. And the reason this cycle exists is because we as women, as young girls in this culture, in this society, we are sold the narrative that our greatest value comes in giving ourselves away, in just depleting ourselves, in allowing ourselves to be ravaged, that we will only be useful or in connection to others as long as we provide them with what they need. And so we're trained. It's like we're indoctrinated into this narrative that unless we are continuously just, you can say in service to others, but you can also say martyring ourselves to others, giving ourselves away, draining ourselves, divesting all of our resources externally, then we won't have safety. And it's unfortunately a vicious cycle because that constant giving, that constant output for the feminine, it's unnatural. So a feminine principle is receptivity. I mean, if you think simply about our bodies, we receive the masculine in intercourse. We receive the impregnation when we get pregnant and have a baby. We are open vessels and we are meant to take in. We are meant to receive the generosity, the gifts, the offering of the masculine around us, and we are receptacles for that. When we're not doing that from the get-go, when we're constantly giving ourselves away, not only are we drying ourselves up, I liken it to a well that is drained before it's allowed to replenish. And then we end up at this critical stage of our life, which again, like you, I find is just before menopause in our 40s. We've been told we had to have children. We did. They're grown. They're out of the house. They don't need us to give anymore. We've realized that we're in a relationship where we've given ourselves away. And now we're left with this cosmic question of, oh my goodness, what have I done? What have I done for myself? What have I done to nurture myself? And the answer is probably nothing. So that's kind of that come to Jesus moment for a lot of women to realize, wait a second, this hasn't been a satisfied life. This wasn't necessarily what I wanted. I did what I thought I was supposed to or what I was told, and now here I am. And even for some women who perhaps they wanted a family, but were convinced they can do it all by themselves, for themselves, at all times, at all costs, chose a career path that then bypassed the opportunity to have a family. Many women wake up in their 40s either having made the wrong decisions for themselves because of this narrative, or even no longer able to make those decisions because our bodies evolve in ways that if we don't get that timing right, we're out of luck. So what I'd like for us to do, and for any young women listening, is to rewrite this narrative of it is not your job to give yourself away. It is not your job to be everything for all people at all times. This is a relational world. You are not alone. This is another way the patriarchy keeps the feminine down, is this individualistic narrative, this do-it-yourself narrative that you don't need anybody else. Good luck with that. People are all around you. You are going to have relationship. You are going to have people in your life. The biggest problems you will ever have are going to be with others. Our brains, our psyches were evolved to connect to others. And it is in that relationship with others that we are able to release into our femininity, because when we have the high elevated masculine around us, they will be protective. They will provide not just financial safety or security, but emotional safety and security, support at all in all ways and shapes and forms. We want this reciprocity, this generosity from the masculine and this receptivity of the feminine. It's basic, fundamental, kind of, black and white, up and down, inside and outside rulings of the universe.
There's a
So,
confusion, though, Alanna, that it keeps getting created, and I want to share that because I've sensed it a lot with powerful women, where the confusion comes from like the femininity or the feminism concept, or the reaction to the patriarchal. The reaction concept is, to me, it hasn't, and I come from a patriarchal system society,
right.
my ancestors and when I was born was Iran. So you can imagine the patriarchal systems that are there.
Absolutely.
Even when and I've been raised in the United States, so I've I bring with me the Eastern world, and I lived in the Western world, and I bring the two together in somehow. And it's interesting that the reactory concept was actually the message of the feminism in a reaction to, I don't need you. I don't want your control. So because I don't want your control, then I'm just going to tell you, I don't need you. I don't want you to do anything for me, because everything you're going to do for me it holds control. So therefore, because I want to get out of the control, I'm going to let go of all of that. And part of what I've seen coming back, or even not only I'm going to get out of your control, but then I'm going to control you. So then, we've turned the men to teenage boys, because the mama had to become all encompassing, powerful person who knew it all, right?
Right.
So there was this like backlash that has happened from there. And the backlash, I don't mean that the backlash happened because the men are upset about it. The backlash happened because women are no longer satisfied in that role either. And that's why I was calling it a backlash.
Yeah.
And hearing that, no, they loved being what you just said, being taken care of, being the the person who receives. And I think part of the delusion or misconception that we've created with the feminine power, it's been like it gets attached, it gets associated with, I'm the high, mighty, powerful woman who is going to, crush you, and I don't need you. And I think it came into one thing you said, which is, oh, somehow the message got crossed that if you wanted to be a powerful woman, you need to imitate the bully powerful men in order to be a powerful woman. And that's part of, kind of like what you're sharing with us in your book was like, no.
Exactly. So the reaction, and look, I get the reaction. Nobody likes to be controlled. I don't care who you are. Control is manipulative, it's distressful, and it's devaluing to anybody who is under someone else's control. Nobody wants that. And unfortunately, like I said in the beginning, our patriarchal culture has been designed not just to center masculinity, but also to distort it. And so there's this perception that masculinity is controlling, that it is power over, but that's not actually what healthy masculinity is. So I affirm any woman's desire to reject control by the distorted masculine. Absolutely. However, what we don't want to do is throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't think it's necessary to reject all men. All men are not the problem. There are good, amazing men out there. Masculinity in its healthy expression is deeply nurturing. It's protective. It's providing. It's a safe harbor for the feminine. Now, whether that's your own internal energy, right? If you find yourself on the feminine polarity internally, you'll want your own internal masculine to provide, protect, support, nurture your feminine, to center it. The feminine, what the feminine wants most from the masculine is to be cherished. I think about this, and even I can feel the cells of my own body relaxing and just lighting up when I think about the idea of being cherished by the healthy masculine. And my favorite definition of being cherished is that the masculine never leaves the feminine alone in her pain until a solution can be reached. Because the feminine does feel. We're deeply connected to our emotions. That is actually a superpower. And when we have a healthy masculine who doesn't dismiss our emotions, doesn't just ask us if we're on our period, doesn't call us crazy, doesn't try to encourage us to write them off and think logically instead, when we have a healthy masculine who says, baby, what's going on for you and how can I help? The feminine can feel, she can move through it, she can process it, and I guarantee you, if she's in a state of distress, something about her greater world is also distressful, and alleviating her pain alleviates everyone else's too. And nobody's better at getting to a solution and a finish line than the healthy masculine. So when you've got a feminine fully in her emotive and intuitive power, working with the healthy, cherishing masculine to resolve this issue, that is a power couple. Whether it's manifesting itself in two humans or whether it's manifesting itself on your own internal psychic landscape.
The Way of the Satisfied Woman, Reclaiming Feminine Power, is the book. And I think, Alanna, if we could also share about, because I think it's still confusing for people a lot of times where we talk about the masculinity and femininity that has nothing to do with the gender, that you could be a woman and have a balanced masculinity and femininity within you, and you can you be a man and have the balance of the femininity and masculinity within you. And a lot of times the best couples that come across is that they both already handle their balance within, and then they share they share that with each other. So it's like, regardless of the gender at that moment, when one shifts to their masculinity, the other one receives, and then vice versa. And you talk about this as like each one of them needs the other counterpart to be there, but to have this, in a sense, the balance inside, and then therefore express it and manifest it outside also.
Yeah. So again, every human has both masculine and feminine within them. And there are, a lot of ways that can express itself. And especially living in the day and age we do now, we know that it doesn't always align with gender. It doesn't always align with orientation. So you can have any combination inside of a human because we're all unique and remarkable individuals. I speak primarily to women who are in the primarily the feminine polarity, but that doesn't mean that's the only expression that there is. So when we have two people in partnership, again, regardless of gender orientation, whatever we're dealing with, what we do want in that partnership is an alignment of one person on one person on one polarity and the other person on the other. Because again, another law of the universe is that opposites attract. I mean, look at magnetism. If you've got two partners in the same polarity all the time, it's either going to end up in a lot of fighting and butting heads, or it's going to end up as being best friends or like you're dating your sibling. So you want that dynamism and that interaction between the opposites so that one is more aligned with the feminine more of the time and the other is more aligned with the masculine more of the time. And yes, the most masculine human out there is going to have moments where that deep emotion arises and they need to just go into that deeply connected emotional place, which will be their feminine. And their feminine partner can step into the masculine role of protecting, holding space, trying to find solutions. But The masculine will never leave the feminine in her masculine all the time. And that's another thing I find a lot happening today is that the masculine sees the feminine these days as so capable and so capable of holding all the space, both feminine and masculine, that sometimes the masculine will just check out, stay in the feminine, and let the feminine partner, the real feminine partner, do all the work. So there can be a dynamism and a back and forth, but I think there needs to be a safety, security, and consistency that when you identify what your primary polarity is, that you occupy that, you revel in that, you highlight it, you shine it up, you get used to being in that space for your partner. And sure, you can trade off, but then you always kind of go back to where the alignment is for you both.
You share in your book that what the femininity, what women need to be satisfied is
Yes.
to have safety, security, trust, and cherishing. Can you
Yes.
share a little bit about those four components?
Absolutely. So we live in a complicated world. And really, this world was not built for us as feminine women. And so we have it harder. Our choices are never easy. Things are a little more difficult. And safety, security, trust, cherishing, all of these things become an issue. We as feminine women cannot have satisfaction. We cannot live satisfied lives unless these four keys are in place. And the four keys, as you stated them, are safety. So the safety to be yourself and free from harm in mind, body, and heart. Security, which is to have all of your most essential needs met. Trust, both in yourself, your own intuition, and the world around you, especially the people you're in relationship with. And to be cherished by any masculine around you in your world, which is that they never leave you alone in your pain. They never diminish or devalue your emotional experiences or responses. And they actually utilize your emotional experiences and responses and your intuition as guideposts for how they direct the show, themselves, their energy, whatever it is, moving forward. So what we as women need to do, number one, yes, there is an internal component to this, ensuring that we can do what we can to create security, safety, trust, and cherishing for ourselves and our world. But again, this is not an individualistic world. It is a relational world, and other people are there. So if you are in relationships, places, spaces that don't support those four keys, that don't offer you these things, you either need to fire them or minimize your contact with them. I do think that the people who love you, who maybe don't know yet about these four keys and how important they are for your satisfaction, if they do love you and you tell them about this, because none of us are trained, right? We didn't grow up with like, hey, here's how we treat the feminine. Here's really what the feminine needs. Here's what the healthy masculine is. We're all trying to learn this stuff now. So if a person who loves you is falling down on the job, give them a clue, hand them my book, teach them the four keys, let them know what they need to do, and let them step up for you. Don't just fire them immediately. Give them an opportunity. If they're incapable and they can't do it, then you assess your other options.
So if a woman needs to connect with herself and look at her own femininity and masculinity, how could they do that? Because I think that we get lost in this, because as you said at the beginning of our show, like we have to perform in a male-dominated world in a way that sometimes we forget. We are lost in how to do that. So possibly our intuition from the inside is knocking at us, but we're like, dismiss it. So what are some of the ways to actually connect to that feminine part of you and then, cherish it and then live it?
I think the first thing is to just understand that there's so much deep training and indoctrination for even us as women in misunderstanding what it means to be feminine. It's not meek. It's not mild. It's not just smile and be pretty. It's not be dismissive. Those are narratives that have only served to keep us small and powerless. And they're actually not what femininity is. Femininity is wild. It's loud. It questions everything. It seeks the truth. It's powerful. It's boisterous. So the first thing I would encourage any woman to do is to tap into probably the most important piece of femininity, which is your intuition. There has never, ever been a woman who is served from overlooking or ignoring her intuition. And the more that you pay attention to it, the more that you honor it, the louder it will speak, and the more clearly it will keep you going on the path and in the direction that is best for you. I think of intuition as the voice of your matrilineal ancestry coming through. All of your foremothers have lived these extraordinary and likely very difficult lives. I mean, there are things that my mother and certainly your mother could not do, did not have agency over. So even in just a few short decades, we now have agency and choice that we never had only a short time ago. But we want to use their wisdom, their experiences, and it comes through us in the form of intuition. I tell you, when I hear it, I actually hear it as the voice of my beloved grandmother. And I listen. And I know that when I haven't, it has done me wrong. So listening to your intuition, that still small voice inside, paying attention to the butterflies in your stomach, and really doing whatever it's asking. If it's telling you to go, you go. If it's telling you to stop, you stop. No more second guessing of ourselves. No more favoring logic and reason over intuition and emotions. That to me is the absolute first step to reconnecting with your femininity and truly reclaiming your feminine power.
Beautiful. Everyone, please check out this book, The Way of the Satisfied Woman, Reclaiming Feminine Power by Dr. Alanna Kaivalaya.
You got it. Kaivalya. Thank you.
In 1 minute or so, is there anything we haven't touched upon that you really want people to know?
I think we covered it a little bit, but I think one of the messages that I'm leaning into right now is that we as feminine women we thrive in relationality. Relax a little. There's no need to do everything yourself. There are capable, wonderful fellow feminine people out there, as well as strong masculine people out there. Align yourself with them, relax, and reconnect with who you are.
Beautiful. Where can people find you?
You can find everything that I do at thesatisfiedwoman.com. And just for podcast listeners, I have a special page, thesatisfiedwoman.com/empowerme, where I'm giving away a free chapter from my book, as well as a little starter kit to get you on your road to satisfaction.
Beautiful. I'm sure every woman needs this.
I hope so.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you very much for having me. It's my honor.
For all of you who are out there, create an amazing life for yourself and everyone around you. And until next week, bye-bye. Are you a psychotherapist looking to enhance your practice? The Awareness Integration Therapy developed by Dr. Foojan Zeine is a comprehensive guide to the principle and techniques of this powerful therapeutic approach. Join the growing community who have elevated their practice and expanded their skills by embracing awareness integration therapy and witnessing its life-changing impact. Order your copy on Amazon now.